Namaskar. Today we'll talk about the worship of the divine feminine. When we talk about divine feminine, what do we mean? The supreme mother, the divine mother, the mother of creation, the mother of gods. We'll try to find out what does it mean and how to worship her. Like everybody knows, the path of love is the most beautiful path. And the best way to worship the Creator or Lord is as Divine Mother. Right? That everybody knows. Great seers and sages have spoken about it. There are many literatures. One of the greatest of them is Sri Aurobindo's Savitri. In Savitri, he describes his vision of the Divine Mother and then receiving boon from her for the mankind. There is another great scripture by Adi Shankar called Saundarya Lahari, or it's called Waves of Bliss. And in Saundarya Lahari, Adi Shankar also describes the beauty and the bliss of Divine Mother. So there are two classical literatures. So before we go there, let's listen to a little story. People used to always ask, there is a big debate all the time whether the Lord is formed or Lord doesn't have any form. The classical debate, God has form or he is formless. So a lot of people went to a great saint named Ramakrishna Paramahansa. Some used to consider him also as an avatar, the teacher of the great Swami Vivekananda. So people went to him and asked him, Master, some people say God has form, some people say God doesn't have form. You have realized everything. You have realized God through the path of Hinduism, through the path of Tantra, through the path of Islam, the path of Christianity. You have realized everything. Please explain to us whether what is correct. And to explain, Ramakrishna Paramahansa told a very nice story, very beautiful story. He said, there was a tree in a jungle, and there was a village nearby. So when villagers used to go to the jungle for various work, for grazing their cows or for getting wood, they used to see a animal, kind of a chameleon, who was living in a specific tree. So some people have seen it blue, some have seen it red, some have seen it white, and some have seen it completely formless. So people started fighting with each other. They said, I have seen this creature in this particular tree. Some said, I have seen that, but I am 100% sure it is green. Some said, I am 100% sure it is red. Some said, it's 100% sure it is yellow. So as people started fighting, one of them, a wise man, said, hey, let's not fight among ourselves. Let's ask the person who is living underneath the tree. So underneath the tree, a person used to live, and he used to live there all the time. So they went and asked this person, can you please explain what is this animal? What is the color of this animal? So he said, hey, the color of the animal is different. This animal is a chameleon, so all of you are correct. So sometimes it is red, sometimes it is green, sometimes it's yellow. Sometimes it has multiple colors, but sometimes it has no color at all. So all of you are correct. And that's how the debate ended. And the same thing is about realization of God. So many have taken different paths. Some try to realize him as formless, some try to realize him with form, some try to realize him with specific form, and everybody has realized him. Right? If you see people who are devotees of Radha Krishna, they'll always say Radhe Radhe. People who worship Lord Ram, they said Siya Ram. People who worship, let's say, Shivji, they worship Divine Mother Kali and Gauri. They follow the path of Tantra, worshipping the Divine Mother. So, why people worship Radha, Mother, Divine Mother Radha, or Divine Mother Sita, or Divine Mother Gauri? Because everybody knows that Ram and Mother Sita, they are not separate, they are one. Radha and Krishna are one. They have assumed two separate forms for the play. Radha is none other than the heart of Krishna. So most of the times the bhaktas will always say, people who have realized Krishna, they'll say the path to Krishna is through Radha. If it's very easy to receive the grace of Divine Mother, it's very joyful going through that path to realize Krishna. Right? But once you realize the path and the goal were not different, they are the same. One who came to take you through the path, holding your hand and carrying you through. This sunlit path, this lovely path, is none other than Lord Himself, but He came as Mother and carried you back to Himself. So knowing this, we all realize, I think in Hinduism this is very, very clear, the easiest path is the path of worshipping the Supreme, the Creator, the Absolute, as Divine Mother. Right? And that is why there is a specific practice which is called Kashmir Saivism. In Kashmir Saivism, they worship the Divine Mother. It's a path of Tantra also. Tantra is nothing but following the path of Divine Mother as Shakti, and Shakti leading you to the Shiva, the Supreme Reality. It's a easy path, it's a blissful path, and the path one follows while living in this world, having family, having job. There is no need to renounce anything. Enjoy this creation and progress towards the Lord. It's a sunlit path. It's a path filled with divine sunshine. So now I'm going to read a little bit from Savitri, which will give you a glimpse. It's not complete thing. You have to read it yourself if you are really interested to worship the Supreme Creator as Divine Mother. But it will give you a glimpse. And this particular chapter is called Vision and Boon, where Asupati, the seer in this particular case, is standing at the edge of the creation. And he has already crossed many levels. See, he has crossed all the levels of the gods, and he has realized the self, the true self, the great S. Right? People say self or Brahman. So he has realized the self of the mind. Many people, many Gyanis reached there and they said this is it. Because when you realize the great self, they said they realize the experience people have is self is all, it is absolutely real, unchanging, a blissful reality, and the creation appears as an illusion. It doesn't appear real, it appears as an illusion. So many, like Sankara, the great Advaitins, declared that the world is unreal and the self is the only reality. So we should renounce the world to realize the self. So they said, this body is not, I am not this body, I am not this mind, I am not this life energy, I am not the feelings, I am not this, I am not that. And finally, slowly they followed the path from where all this is arising and following the path of the feeling of I, they realize ultimately the transcend the I and reach the self. The self is the self of I, a self of the mind. And once they realize that, they have a great realization of the absolute truth, the truth which is unchanging. And from that point of view, it really appears that the world is an illusion. Whereas if you listen to the poetries of great seers like Kabir, Kabir has realized this also, but he has gone further. He has realized the Lord, the absolute Lord. And that is why he says the self is real and the world is also real. So what is this mystery? When somebody is saying the self is real and the world is too real, this too is Brahman, and this too, wherever my eye falls, I see the Lord. This is nothing but Brahman. This is nothing. It's absolute reality. Why the difference? Because this difference arises when one pursues the path of love. So once somebody has realized the self, or one has become absolutely free from the blemishes, the mind has become pure, then if one has the intensity of realizing the true Lord with love, then there is something called divine love that gets poured into his heart. And once the divine love is poured, one follows further. And through the path of love, one realizes the vision of the Supreme Lord. And once that vision is realized, one sees that it is all, this creation is nothing but the body of the Lord. Everything is He Himself. He has become all this and He is playing with Himself. He is within, He is without. He pervades us through and through. We live, breathe, and have our being in Him. So there is nothing that is not Lord. So that realization comes only after that state. Okay? And those things are spoken by many. Not many have realized that Supreme Being. Right? There are very few people like Jesus Christ or people like Kabir, Guru Nanak, right? People like Sri Aurobindo, people like Divine Mother. There are very few who have realized this great state, and after realizing they have declared this. Okay, now let's try to hear a little bit about the Divine Mother. Right. So this is a state where this is the journey of the seer named Asupati in this Savitri. Asupati has crossed. He has realized his self. After self-realization, he has moved further. He has realized the world of souls, from where the souls come and the souls return. And then he's standing at the edge of creation, beyond which nobody can go. If you transcend, you cannot come back. You become one with the Supreme Divine. At that particular stage, he is having this glimpse of the Supreme Mother, who is coming from the heart of the Supreme Lord, the Creator, the Absolute, the Supreme, about whom everybody has spoken about. Right? Jesus spoke about him. The seers have spoken about him in Upanishads. Right? Even Prophet Muhammad spoke about him. Abraham spoke about him. That great, the Absolute, the Supreme. So it is the vision from where, and from the heart of the Supreme comes the Divine Mother. And this is that particular stage. And here we are trying to understand who this Divine Mother is and how to realize her. Right? I'll give you a few glimpses, and if you're really interested, you'll have to read it yourself. You see, the formless and the formed were joined in her. We always ask whether the God has form, whether God doesn't have form. And this is the beauty. Both the form and the formless is joined in her. So once somebody realizes the Divine Mother, realizes that Lord has both form and the Lord is formless. So Divine Mother transcends the form and the formless. There are many things he is talking about. He's saying, a boundless joy, the blind world forsake. Her body of beauty moaned the sea of bliss. Hers is the mystery the night conceals. We are living in this night, capital N, darkness. In this darkness, we are in deep ignorance. Only light that we have is light of reasoning, light of mind. It gropes in the darkness. It doesn't have the light of knowledge. But why we are suffering, struggling in this darkness? What is the mystery that we are trying to find out here? He's saying, why this night? The night is hiding her. Hers is the mystery that night conceals. The Spirit's alchemist energy is hers. The Divine Mother's energy is such that it is the Spirit's, the Absolute Brahman's alchemist energy. It can transform anything into anything. It can transform the pain of our heart into absolute bliss. It can transform our ignorance into complete truth, light, and power. It can transform our weakness into great power and strength. It can transform anything. That alchemist energy that can transform, is hers. It is her power. She is the golden breeze, the wonderful fire. She is the golden breeze. Golden breeze to whom? The golden breeze to the transcendent supreme, the absolute Brahman. She is that golden breeze. The wonderful fire. That fire which burns, clinges, transforms everything. The luminous heart of the unknown is she. Capital U, this unknown supreme, who nobody can know. And she is that luminous heart of that unknown, from that supreme Brahman, who is unknowable, who is unknown. She is the heart of the supreme Brahman. Just imagine, the heart of the unknown is she herself. A power of silence in the depth of God, capital G. She is the power of silence in the depth of God, in the depth of Brahman, the unknowable, the power of silence that lives. She is that power. She is the force, the inevitable word. The force, the conscious force, which drives everything, the creation and beyond. There is only one force, there is not different forces. There is just one force which acts through everything. In the hell, in the heavens, on earth, in the transcendent. That capital F, that force. In the Star Wars they say, force is with us, is the same force. She is the force. She is the very force. The inevitable word, capital W. In Bible it says, in the beginning there was a word, and the word was one with God. What is that word? The original throbbing, original spandan, the word that created. Kabir says, from that word the creation came. What is that word? She is that word. She is the force. Kabir says that Naad, Sabad. Guru Nanak says Sabad. Kabir says, have you heard that Sabad? Have you heard the word? That's the supreme word. Once somebody hears this word, everything changes after that. That word is she herself. She is the force. She is the word. She is the magnet of her difficult ascent. Reaching the Supreme is almost impossible. But It sees the magnet. She can draw us there. Sees the magnet of her difficult ascent. The light that leans from unrealized vasts, capital V, from the Supreme, that light that leans down to us, to the creation. That light is she herself. The light that leans from the unrealized vast, the joy that beckons from the impossible, from the unknown, from the impossible, joy, the bliss that calls us. The might of all that never yet came down. So this is where the seer is adoring the Divine Mother. It's actually a very long chapter where he keeps talking about the Divine Mother as he gets a glimpse of her. That beauty, that bliss as it parts, that radiant sun, and she comes out of it. She feels the tremendous bliss, tremendous joy, and she is adoring this Divine Mother and describing who she is. Now let's try to understand. If one has to realize her, what is the way? He also gives some. I'm going to just give few glimpses of what he's saying. You have to read it. Like it'll take hours and hours to go through the whole thing. The heaven is too high for the outstretched hands to seize. We cannot reach there. It is impossible. The light comes not by struggle or by thought. This light we're talking about, this Supreme Divine Mother, it doesn't come by struggle or by thought. Through our own effort, we cannot reach there. Then what is the path? If through our tapas, through our prayer, through everything, we cannot reach there, it is impossible. Then what is the way? In the mind's silence, the transcendent acts. When the mind is silent, that time the transcendent, the Supreme Lord will act. His power will act on us. In the mind silent, when mind has become completely silent. In the mind's silence, the transcendent act. So what we need to do? We need to have our full devotion to Divine Mother and make the mind silent. Only then the power will act. And the hushed heart hears the unuttered word. When that will happen, in the mind silence, the transcendent will act, and the hushed heart, our heart has become hushed, quiet. No desires, no throbbing, nothing. It will hear the word. The heart will hear the word, not this mind, not the ears. It is Anhat Nad, is Sabbath. This is the Supreme Word, the Word from which the creation began. This Word is one with the Supreme Brahman. That heart, the heart will receive. But how then? What is the power then the being has? A vast surrender was his only strength. What is his strength? What is the strength that we have? Our only strength is a vast surrender, complete surrender to the Supreme and the Divine Mother. So that is our power. It's not that we have no power. Our power is a vast surrender. We have to surrender ourselves. A power that leaps up in the height must act. It has that power has to act. How it will act? It will act when we have completely surrendered. The mind has fallen silent, and the transcendent acts, and a hushed heart receives the word and brings into life's closed room the immortal seer, capital I. Then into our life, the immortal seer, the supreme bliss, the Satchitananda, the Brahma, his light, his power, his bliss will then descend into this limited form, brings into life's closed rooms the immortal's air, and fill the finite with the infinite. Then this little finite self that we are, that will be filled with the infinite. So this is what it is. And there is also something very beautiful that once Kabir has written in one of his poems, said everybody knows the drop fallen into the ocean, but very few know that the ocean merged into the drop. This is what he's talking about. That particular thing which Kabir spoke about, the ocean merging into the drop, the immortal, the infinite, the supreme merging into this finite. I hope you enjoyed it, you liked it. If you are the follower of Divine Mother, what I read, it's from Savitri. It's a great scripture written by Sri Aurobindo. It is his greatest work. But if you really want to worship the Supreme Divine as the Divine Feminine, as Divine Mother, this path of the Divine Mother is called Sunlit Path, the path filled with joy. While you are living in this creation, fulfilling all your worldly activities, you can still pursue your path to the Supreme. And if you are interested, please read this book, try to learn it. Maybe you can start worshipping the Divine Mother, and your life will become joyful, filled with happiness and abundance. Namaste.